Welcome to Amsterdam. That can only mean one thing. It's another year and it's IBC. So we're going to have a quick wander around the Rise Centre and see what there is. So let's go and have a look. What's new on the Canon stand this year? Well, this is one of the new products. This is the C100. Very much like the C300 and the C500, it uses the same 8 million pixel sensor. What's really cool about this product is it has all the features of the C300, except for one important thing. This camera has the LCD at the back, it has the same audio arm at the front, makes it smaller, more compact. It has the neutral density filters, it has the same assignable buttons down the side, same grip on the side so you can use it sort of handheld, and also it's got XLR audio, which is quite nice. I think all the obstacles that people normally have with a digital SLR, but it's also using SDHC. And probably the big difference that people are going to notice between this camera and the C300 is that this camera is using the AVC HD format. What does that mean? Well, obviously the C300 is very good for broadcast applications, which means that you have a very sort of medium to high price point entry. The C100 really is targeted towards the more entry point in the market. It's ideal for people who have other Canon cameras. It's ideal for people who want to get into that large image sensor market. It's ideal for people who may be shooting on digital SLRs that want to move up to a more video friendly camera. And I would say this is one of the cameras to watch over the next couple of months. So anyway, this year, Canon announced the C500. Didn't give us a lot of information, just said it would be coming later this year. It's on schedule, it's going to be coming later this year. And here at IBC, we have one of the prototypes, and as you can see, it's quite a beast. What does it do? Well, basically it's built on the C300 sensor. It's slightly larger because it's also recording a raw signal through to an external recorder. As you can see from this setup, we've got the great new Canon 30-300 lens on the front there. We have the Astro LCD, and this is one of the key components at the back. So in the world of 4K, in a camera this size, it's not possible to record 4K internally, so an external recorder becomes compulsory. In this configuration, we're taking the raw data stream out of the C500 into the RG box. The RG box is then processing the raw signal, debayering it, and recording that internally onto SSD. For those purists that want to work in RAW and want to record RAW, you can take the Thunderbolt connection from the RG box, chuck it into your MacBook Pro with your Thunderbolt storage, and whilst it's doing real-time debayering internally into the Kai Pro Quad, it'll also pass the RAW stream out to your storage. This makes 4K acquisition very affordable. You will see a lot of people talking about external recorders, so it's not just the Kai Pro Quad that's working with the C500. You have the new system from Codex, and as you can see here, also Canon is showing a 4K display, so it's a true end-to-end solution from acquisition, recording, to on-set monitoring. The HBX600 is finally here, announced by Panasonic at NAB this year. As you can see, we got one here. This is, I think, it's going to be a very good camera for people who are into the P2 format, people who have already have existing P2 workflows, customers who want full broadcast quality. What is it? Well, basically, it's a 2/3 inch camera. It has the new Panasonic CMOS sensor, so there's 3 2/3 inch chips. We have color viewfinder, which is quite nice. As you can see, it has a monocular on it as well, so you've got it on the shoulder, or if we're looking at a tripod, we can see it from the side. It obviously is based on the P2 system. What's quite nice with this camera is it's also very future-proof. So from today, when it's going to be starting shipping, you can use the P2 card system. As from February next year, you'll be able to use the new micro P2 system. You can plug in drives, so we have a USB host mode. So for example, you can be recording in the camera to your P2 card. Once you're finished and the journalist comes along, you can connect up your USB drive and we can data dump directly to the drive. Around the other side on the camera, we have an additional USB connection. So if you want to do wireless logging, if you want to update metadata to the camera, Panasonic have a USB wireless adapter that goes in the camera as well. There are some other functions and features on this camera that you'd be used to, like the DRS. One of the options for this camera is the variable frame rate, so for people who want 1 to 60p and 720, that will be a feature that you'll be able to add to this camera as well. All in all, it's a very compact package. you can see from it, for those people who are familiar with Panasonic cameras, the P2 system, it's very user-friendly, very easy to use. People who maybe have not moved on to the Panasonic system, that have been looking for a shoulder 2/3 inch cost-effective camera, well, this is it. At the back of the camera, you have the anti-barrel system for powering, and we have a selection of HDMI, HD-SDI, XLR audio, and remote control system. If you're looking to systemize it, well, Panasonic can help you there as well. They also have a system back that can go on this, and a CCU, so you can control it in a studio environment. All in all, outstanding picture quality, based on the AUC Intra format, 2/3 inch, full 1920 1080, f13 at 50 Hz. So if you're looking for really good quality, high definition pictures, then this camera will give you that. So we're over at the JVC stand. At NAB this year, JVC announced two cameras, the 600 and the 650. Very similar in design, but one key difference. The 600 has the MPEG-2 up to 35 megabits inbuilt, and the 650 has dual codecs. So for those people who want to be able to do your 35 megabits MPEG-2 for news, and maybe also want to do your MPEG-4 up to 35 megabits for H.264 delivery on the web, or DVD, or Blu-ray, this camera will do both. What's quite nice with this camera, it has a 23 times lens, very long to very wide actually, funny enough. At the front of this lens we have 3 CMOS sensors. Now what's unique with this camera is it's one of the very few cameras with a 1/3 inch imager that is full 1920 by 1080. So we have full HD specification sensors. We got the very familiar JVC control. At the back, your recording media is SDHC or SDXC, depending on what you want to use. Whether you're cohabiting up to 32 gigs with SDHC or whether you want to go beyond that. What is quite nice with this camera is we have a data connection to it. So we can use the data connection on this camera to do a couple of things. Essentially, the camera acts as an FTP server and an HTTPS server. So using just a standard web browser, we can upload metadata. So before we record, we can also take control of the camera. So you have a number of settings in here. And that includes things like record. So we put the camera into record, you see now the tally lights come on. And we have also control of the servo, so we want to zoom in or zoom out. Quite nice if you're at the back of a press conference and your camera's right at the front and you want to upload metadata, or if you want to stop record, or maybe get closer on the shot. Obviously, because it's web-based, you're not restricted by the device. It could be a MacBook, it could be a laptop, it could be an iPad. In this case, it could be a Samsung Android device. So it gives you good functionality, whether you're using it as a handheld or with a shoulder rig or as a fixed camera at the front of a press conference. The dual codec is a real winner. So if you're looking to do MPEG-2, like I said, for broadcast delivery, and you want a low-res proxy in H.264, or you actually want a high-resolution quality in H.264 to future-proof your content, the 650 camera will give you that. This is Blackmagic cinema camera, or so you think, but this one has a micro 4/3 native mount. So that means all those lenses that people have been used to using with the AF101 will go straight on this camera. There's actually a third incarnation over here, because we've got the cinema camera with the micro 4/3 native mount, and we have a true lens mount on there. So basically, we can go from micro 4/3 to PL, and then we have this very nice looking Arial Lura lens on there. So for those people who haven't seen the Blackmagic cinema camera, it's literally about to start shipping. It's very easy to use. We've got a remote connection, we have headphones, we have separate audio, so these are all protected by rubber covers. So we want to run in audio from a sound mixer. We have our HD-SDI output, we have obviously power. It does have an internal battery. We also have Thunderbolt, so if you want to take the live feed from the camera straight out through the camera into a MacBook Pro, you can do that as well. If I swing it around the other side, we have our recording media, which is an off-the-shelf solid-state drive, 2.5 inch. We have a menu setting, and in here you have a number of buttons. So for example, the camera ID, the date, the time, the ISO rating, or as people know it in sort of VNG world, your gain setting, white balance, and also shutter angle. We also have control of audio, so remember we have these external audio inputs, so we can adjust the in and output levels, whether it's mic level or not. When we come to record, you have a number of options. So for the pure purists, you do have RAW, so you can record into camera RAW native data stream. For those people who are on a time, on budget, who don't want to have the hassle of processing RAW, you can go to DNX from Avid, or you can go to ProRes. So we can just alternate whether we want to go to ProRes. We could choose the dynamic range, the sensitivity of the camera, the full dynamic range for film mode or video mode. And we can also choose the frame rate. So when I shoot 23:9:8, whether I shoot 24, 25, or maybe when you want to shoot 50p. So very simple, very easy to use. We have the ability to change zebras, SDI overlays, so that you see all your outputs on the overlay monitor down the bottom here, and things like your brightness of the panel as well. Shooting out in highlight, we have this lovely sun visor that's built onto the camera, and as you can see, lots of manufacturers, lots of accessories. So this is a real winner. What else do you get in the box? Well, you can also use the Ultra Scope to check your pictures, and they also provide you a copy of the Resolve software. So that allows you to do basic editing, a bit of color correction, and mastering. So allow you to kick out your files in file formats. So it's a complete package. Like I said to you, the cinema camera comes today with an EF lens mount. Roughly in the December period later this year, you'll be able to buy it with its native micro four thirds, so giving you a very vast range of lens options. And for those people who want to put PL on there, well, it's a simple adapter from micro four thirds to PL. So this really is one to watch. So what's new at the Newtek stand this year? Well, it's this. It's the Tricaster 40. It's the entry-level member of the Tricaster family. You can have 4 inputs into it, 4 component inputs. We have composite video inputs. We have separate audio. You can have a single channel record, and that can either be an ISO record or it can be a program out. You have all the features that you get in the Tricaster family. So you have the same easy-to-use user interface. We have live sets, we have graphics, and we also have an optional control surface. So you can start off with the 40 and you can run it in software mode with a keyboard and mouse. If you then want to roll it out into a small OB or a small truck, we can have the control surface. When you want to expand the system, you can move up to the 400 series or the 800 series. And what I think you'll find is it's an all-round package. So we have live inputs, we have vision mixing, we have graphics, we have audio, as well as recording in-house. So rather than have multiple boxes to do multiple tasks, which require multiple operators, this gives you all that in one. So we're over at the Arger stand. Back at NAB 2 years ago, we saw a box very similar to this with a little porcupine coming out the back, but it's now a product. It's called the Corvid Ultra. What is it? Well, basically, it's a hardware processor. It'll give you 4K, 2K, HD, SD. It has real-time hardware debayering. It does LUT management in both 2D and 3D. Stereoscopic outputs. It connects to the host via an 8-lane PCI Express connection. And as you can see here, it's simultaneously doing 4K and 2K with pan and scan. So when you do get your lovely 4K pictures from your Sony F65, and rather than maxing out the processor of the machine, add this product to it, real-time debayering, real-time resizing, LUT management, all in one package. So on-set monitoring has been a challenge. Over the years, there's been many solutions out there. Teradek have also had a few solutions with the Cube, but inherently, the biggest issue is the delay. So whenever you're using an encoding system, there is always a delay as it gets sent through the buffer. What they're showing this year is something called the BOLT, which takes that whole problem away. No longer does it encode it and buffer it, it's actually streaming the video straight from the HDSDI straight to the transmitter, so we have minimal delay. If I just pick up the camera here and you see my colleague who's filming me, you can see that the delay is very, very minimal. So if you want to have a wireless system, whether it's for on-set direct monitoring, whether it's for focus pulling, whether it's for a roaming camera at a live music event, or whether it's a live camera at a press conference, and there's a solution to go for. It's very small, very compact. There's an HDSDI input. We have power, so for example here on the Canon camera, we're using the power from the Switch battery. On the receiver end, we have HDMI. And what Teradek are telling you is there'll be essentially two flavors. You'll be able to have an HDMI version and an HDSDI version, and you'll be able to mix and match them as well. So ultimately, you can go HDSDI on the camera, which is where we have the HDSDI output. Keep the cost down on the monitoring, we can put the HDMI version like we have here. So on-set monitoring, directors monitoring, live wireless feeds into your vision mixer, roaming cameras at press conferences. You've got to have one of these. Make sure you got one of these to go on your camera. Earlier this year, Sony introduced us to a new way of thinking about making a broadcast chain. At NAB, they introduced a concept of 3 HDSDI signals being transmitted over IP with a return coming back the other way. Well, at IBC, they're actually introducing the product. So this is it. This is the NEX-EA50. You have a transmitter and you have a receiver. Connecting the two is IP, or in this case, a Cat5 cable. So the way it works is we can have 3 robotic cameras, for example, here, or 3 studio cameras coming in on the transmission side. That gets then compressed. It's using the digital tracks technology that Sony has at 2 bitrate settings, 100 megabits or 200 megabits. It then gets encapsulated, sent over the Cat5 to the receiver. It then gets converted back to HDSDI to go into your vision mixer. The program out of the vision mixer then gets plugged back into that end and comes back the other way for studio playback. This is a great way of moving multiple HDSI sources through an IP infrastructure. Lots of applications for it, from small studios to events. For education, where you maybe have a small educational studio on one end of this campus and you want the live production side of it to be on the other side. And what the other clever thing with this is, it's not just the video that's going on over this. We have sync, and in the case of here where we have robotic cameras, we're also able to use full IP-controlled robotic cameras. So we get the audio, the video, and we also get the remote control. So we're in the XDCAM area on the Sony booth, and there's actually quite a few new products here this year. The first one is this little prototype that they have, which looks very much like a PMW-150 studio deck, which normally takes the optical disc. Big difference is basically it has 2 SYS slots. So they've removed the optical disc, put 2 SYS slots in, full studio recorder. You've got HDSDI, you've got RS42, you've got jog control and full audio control. So apparently this is coming next year. So this is one to watch. People who want to do ISO recording or studio recording to memory. A slightly updated product, which is the US20, which is a USB 3 card reader. So for those of you who remember the US10, basically the biggest issue with that was that it didn't have bus powered, so it meant that you had to take the AC adapter with you, had to try and find power on location. Well, now this is using USB 3, so not only is it faster, but it also takes the power from the same connection. So a lot of these laptops now, Mac and PC, are coming with USB 3 connections on them. This makes it a very portable device for offloading your SYS cards. Optical disc archive. It's not really new. It was shown as a technology demonstration at NAB by Sony. Well, now it's a reality. It even has a nice new shiny logo. And for those who don't know what it is, basically it's an optical disc cartridge. It's got multiple optical discs in it. It's rewritable. It comes in lots of different flavors, up to 1.5 terabytes. It's essentially works very similar to the optical disc, professional disc format. And one clever thing, it has something called an RFID tag in it, which means that in a typical media management type of workflow, you don't get stuck trying to find out where your media is. In a library, for example, you'd back up your media, you take your media and stick it on a shelf. Then when you want to find out what's on that piece of media, you normally have to go and get it from the shelf and stick it in a drive, scan it, and see what's on it. But with an RFID tag, you can essentially take a device that has that capability and just hover over the media, and it will give you a full index of actually what's on the media. Because as data gets put onto the actual device, the RFID tag actually gets updated as well. So, very simple, very easy to use. It's USB 3 into your Mac or your PC. It's one cartridge, it goes in, you slot it in, and it mounts as a physical device on the Mac or the PC. Now, Sony are introducing various flavors of it. We really like this one. It's simple, it's easy, and it's quick. If you're an XDCAM customer and you want to migrate your professional discs so you can reuse them, then this is the way to go. If you're an S/S customer where you don't have any archive, then this is the solution for you. But even if you're not using any of the Sony formats, you might be using P2 or the Canon formats, well, this is just a data device. It will also support those devices as well. What's really clever about it is if you're using the Sony formats, whether that's the NEX-EA50 or the XDCAM family, the software that Sony provides with this utility allows you to manage media, look at media, see timecode, and make editorial notes as well. So we think this is going to be a really interesting product to watch, especially if you're looking for a low-cost, simple, easy-to-use archive solution. Sony announced this very recently, which is the PMW-200. It's essentially an EX1R, but with the all-important 50 megabits. And then a surprise at the show is this. This is the new PMW-150. What's different about it to the 200? Well, first up, it's got a sort of Sony G-style lens on the front of it, 20 times, so it's fairly long. Big difference is it's 3 1/3" CMOS sensors. Same S/S recording system, low-cost XQD, HDSDI, BPU batteries, and one of the cool things is that the introduction of XM Pilot on these products is Sony developing little apps. So here we have on an iPod, we can basically control zoom and start and stop record the camera. So if the camera's up high or down low or at the front of a press conference and we want to start the camera and we want to gradually zoom out, we can do all that by using this interface. But I think now Sony have a real good lineup of 50 megabits cameras. We have PMW-100 at the entry level for small handheld use. At the sort of next level up is now the PMW-150 for people who are happy with 1/3" sensors, want a slightly longer lens. People who want the ultimate low light capabilities will go to the PMW-200 with the 1/2" sensors. And then the nice thing is the ecosystem just grows. We go up to the 320, the 350, the PMW-500, and if you really want the optical disc, we can go to the PDW-700 or the F800. So you have a really big family of products now. So for many, this little product here is about 3 years late. This is the PMW-50, and it's an external recorder, so it can have HDSDI in and HDSDI out. Records all the operating points of XDCAM EX and XDCAM HD 422. It has dual card slots, so you can use it for in-the-field offloading. So if I want to copy from card slot A to card slot B. It can also be used for playback, so if you've got a PMW-500 camera or the new 200 for example, and you've been shooting a package that you then want to play up via the satellite for your truck, well then this is the product you need. So you take your cards, put them in here, HDSDI out, cue it, press play, and it'll play. It's very portable, it's battery powered, so it takes the BPU batteries. It's got some clever things coming for it. So for example, there's a little option USB connection here. So Sony have been talking about a sort of proxy board for it to do live streaming, which would be very, very interesting. And I think this just completes the XDCAM 42, 50 megabits world. So we've seen the introduction of the 100, the new 150, the 200, the well-established 500, and this is kind of like a bridging product. So it allows you to move the media between the two, make copies, record from mini cams, from satellite trucks, from studio recordings, or even just simple play out. So again, I think if you're an XDCAM owner, this is an absolute must-to-have. So for the digital SLR enthusiasts here at Sony, what's new? Well, it's this, it's the NEX-EA50. What can I say about it? Well, it's based on a family of products like the FS100 and the 700. It has the E-mount system at the front. That's this very unique power zoom lens, so wide to tele, full servo control. It looks like a shoulder camera, even has an adjustable shoulder panel. We have this nice LCD monocular display as well. And around the rear here, we have a couple of recording options. So we can go with memory stick, for example, with the new rated memory sticks, or we can stick the FMU solid state recorder on the back. We have HDMI and we have AV outputs. But one thing you find is it's a good, well-rounded, well-balanced product with an outstanding picture quality. And this is really one to watch for those people who are looking to move on from a digital SLR camera. There are some new enhancements to the D70 studio camera. Whilst the coax is good up to 100 meters, most people are asking for further distance and different types of connections. So as you can see on the camera we have here, we have a camera back that has digital triacs, and it comes with a CCU. Behind me, we have a similar setup, which is with a fiber back and a fiber CCU. So now you can take a 320, a 350, a PMW-500, or even the D70 studio camera, and change the back and systemize it. Not only do you get the transmission, you also get the intercom, return control, prompter, and we can also have a viewfinder LCD panel on the top. I think this really adds to the family of products. So I feel like I'm having a bit of a deja vu moment. This place was sat here very much last year at IBC. And 1 year on, the F65's been shipping, and I have to say Sony have delivered everything they said they would deliver for this product. With the recent version 2 update, it increases both the speed of the workflow, but it also increases the number of shooting options you've got available to you. So the big thing with version 2 is the 120 frames per second high frame rate recording. So for the commercials market and sort of high speed recording market, it's now included in the F65 product. The transfer speeds, well, you know, you've got two products. You've got the SRD1, which is a USB 3 and eSATA drive, allows you to plug it up to your Mac and PC and download the rushes. Or if you really want to go really fast, we have the SR-PC4, which is a little box which has HDSDI for monitoring on set with LUT management. It also allows for 10 gig connection as an option, so you could do high-speed data transfer. But what I will say is that all the partners seem to be coming together this year at IBC as well for the F65. So all the sort of color guys, the bass lights, the sort of Yoyota guys, they've been there pretty much from day one. But the big news at the show this year is the introduction of an AMA plugin for Avid, which allows you to mount the raw footage directly inside the Avid software. They're also showing a prototype of a plugin for Adobe Premiere with CS6. Again, it means that the workflow gets a lot quicker. We can get the footage off the camera quicker. We can process it directly in the non-linear application. We don't have to go off to a third-party application to deburr it first. And I guess for those people who are in the sort of TV, drama and commercials market, the XDCAM format has been switched on now for almost 6 months. So the F65 delivers every application that it's needed for, whether you're doing 4K cinema, whether you're doing 4K for commercials, whether you're doing HD TV drama or for commercials. You have a big ecosystem now with the accessories, with the non-linear vendors, with the color vendors, and the workflow just seems to get faster and faster. So I think still today, this year on at IBC, it's still by far the best 4K camera out there. Has the wider color space that you can get in the market, and you just have to look at the pictures yourself that are available coming straight off the camera. So if you are in that market for the ultimate camera, then this is the one for you. Well, that was CVP, whistle-stop tour of IBC 2012. What did we see that we liked? Well, we saw a lot on the Canon side. We liked the C100 is going to be an outstanding camera. We did manage to hunt down the Blackmagic Cinema camera, and to our amazement we found a second one which had a micro four thirds mount. The Sony F65 enhancements are going to stand out. 4K seemed to be everywhere, everyone seemed to have a display, lots of people seem to have external recorders, lots of people seem to have hardware processing and I/O, so clearly 4K is the buzzword this year. I'm Phil Myers, thank you very much for watching and hopefully we'll see you soon.